Okay. Welcome everybody. Playing Dragon's Crown Pro. So I played a bit of this earlier, but I'm gonna start a new game. And I'm gonna use Sorceress still. Because it's a character I didn't play when this game first came out on PS3. But yeah, I wanna play her now, so. Let's see, what color? Let's go Rose. North's fine. North's fine.
Let's go.
You seated yourselves and called for a stein of the finest mead. Your partner, Rani, is in a particularly good mood. Quaffing the bar's spirits buoyed your spirits. When things are lively, Rani will recount a certain tale. You were an adventurer, just starting out, and didn't know right from left. It was then that you first met.
Alright, gotta do a quick tutorial.
They're coming. Enemies.
So yeah, I'm playing the Japanese version because I live in Japan and I was waiting for the English version to come out just so I could be supportive of the English version. But when it came out, I noticed that here in Japan, the Legendary Edition, the Collector's Edition,
Shall I open
was
that door for you? The rogue Rani inquired.
was the same price
From
as
out of nowhere.
like the new English
He
version
thought
in
that it
America.
would be a
So
simple matter to
instead
take
of just like
advantage of
getting
your
it
naivety
digitally like I usually do,
and
I
pocket
decided
some
to go
coin.
physical with this one. So I got like the orchestrated soundtrack and everything along with it. So,
It's my turn. Done.
but yeah, Dragon's Crown is one of my favorite games. Like, I'm so happy this game was made. I really love side-scrolling beat 'em ups, and this one just has so much content in it, and just like so much value. I just love playing it.
Enemies.
Yeah, first time I played this game, I played through as the dwarf, and then I think I did it again as fighter, but I never got around to sorceress. I did wizard as well.
Handles locks.
Also, never played the elf, and I never finished the game as the Amazon, so this is my chance, so to speak.
You came to Highland as an adventurer. Like many of your fellows, you strove to challenge the dangerous labyrinths here. The labyrinths were every bit as perilous as you'd heard. Most were lucky to even have their bones exit the ruins. You don't currently belong to the guild. I recommend registering. You can get jobs there and learn skills. Clad in full armor, the Guildmaster, Samuel Joseph, stands in the center of the guild hall like a statue. You request to join the guild. Samuel issues you a test of skill. What will you do? Your test is to help a warrior named Roland. Samuel says that you can find him in the ancient temple ruins. To prove your mettle for the Guildmaster, you head to the ancient temple ruins to assist the warrior.
Welcome to my... What would you like? Which one do you want? What would you like?
Yeah, another thing about Dragon's Crown is the inventory is shared, so all the items I found previously and for other characters, you can use them even if you start a new character. But of course you have to meet the level requirement.
Recently found in the ruins on the outskirts of town. Use that to reach your destination. Many things lie within the ruins of the old Elysian temple. Some quiescent, some far less so. An ancient dragon, spoken of in myths, is said to have destroyed the Elysian civilization in one night. You liberated a fairy that was trapped in a cage.
They're here.
It's my turn. Done.
You have made your way to Roland. At the guild's behest, he is looking for adventurers who went missing in the ruins. For you to pass your guild exam, you must help him. Roland tells you to search in the ruins that are submerged in water. Much time has passed since the missing were last seen. He tells you to bring back their bones if they are found dead.
They're here.
Yes. Simple. Let's see. Done.
Yeah, when you open treasure chests, you get treasure rank,
Apparently getting here via the waterway.
and the treasure rank,
Their cargo is various articles from
it depends
ships that
on
have been
what you
reported
find.
missing.
It depends, like, it determines is what I mean. It determines your rewards and like the weapons and accessories you find. The higher rank it is, up to S rank, that is,
It's my turn.
you'll get like better weapons and armor, things like that. But because it's the beginning, don't expect to find anything too decent. But occasionally you'll get like something pretty good, surprising. And the little cursor is what you use to find items and rewards in the environment and to make your NPC friend interact with treasure chests and doors and
I got
whatnot.
it. Voila.
And your score is the determinant for your experience points at the end. The more score you have, the more experience points you get.
Enemies!
As you investigate the wall painting, you detect that the area behind the wall has been hollowed out.
Yeah. Sometimes you can inspect walls and things in the background and it'll reveal hints that maybe you can break through it, or maybe you can find an extra key or something there.
It's my turn. Oh yeah.
I'll stop them. Enemies!
And this little thing I'm doing is charging, because there's no MP in this game, but the magic using characters do have to charge their magic, or they have to have a certain amount charged before they can use their spells. And it does charge faster, and you do get more of it as you level up if you choose to spec your character that way. That's the first boss.
There seem to be more nests,
Or tutorial boss, anyway.
spread throughout the area. You exit the area, taking care to avoid drawing the attention of any other harpies.
And at the end, you get your experience points, and you choose which items you want to keep, which items you want to get rid of. But you have to examine them first. So, and all of them have a level requirement. So sometimes you can just take things and use them right away. Sometimes you have to level up a little bit first. And for magic users, the little glowing bit around their weapons determines the element that it is. So these are lightning, I believe, the little yellow ones, and red is fire. But the one I have equipped now is ice. And of course, you can choose to not take things if you don't want them, but some of them are more useful than others, obviously. When you're done, you can choose to sell the remaining stuff and keep whatever you want.
You have fulfilled the request. Report your work to the Guildmaster.
Let's look at changing some equipment.
After delivering your report, you think you see part of a smile cross Samuel's face. You are now registered with the Guild. You may now get cooperation from Guild members. They may participate in your party and help you in completing quests. The Adventurers Guild has a backlog of quests because many adventurers are occupied with the Dragon's Crown rumors. The king and his retinue left to find the Dragon's Crown and are missing. Many guild members are now searching for them. The existence of this crown that supposedly controls dragons is disputed, but the king was obsessed with finding it. Samuel hurriedly assigns you a new task. You get the feeling that he deems you reliable and trustworthy. It's a request from this country's Prime Minister. The quest's details will be provided at the castle. You wonder about the lives of the powerful people in that grand castle. You happily accept the job.
You're back.
Now I can choose skills. Every time you level up, you get a skill point, and you can invest them into different abilities. And you unlock more as your character levels up as well. And each of them can be leveled up a certain amount of times. Most of them are not just a one-off. But I'm gonna grab the Sorceress's utility skills. She has one more here, but can't get it yet. Have to be level 4. So let's move on and grab maybe a damage dealing spell. Like, let's go to Ice Prison. You can also accept side quests, and these are done as you progress through the game. Sometimes you have to go back to levels that you haven't finished yet, and then finish a certain requirement, like beat a boss, destroy a certain item, or kill certain enemies in a certain way.
So I'll spare you the details. I want you to save as many fallen souls as possible. You accepted a new request from the guild. You must go to the castle for further details.
Wandering one, how can I help you?
Allow this heart to beat again. quench their thirst. Lead the wandering soul back, reverse death, and awaken them.
Yeah. So, the skeletons that you find throughout the game are NPC characters, and you can revive them here at the church. And once you revive them, you can add them to your party. And they'll fight alongside you throughout the next stage. But they don't level up and they don't get new equipment, so you're constantly finding new ones and swapping them out basically whenever they're not useful anymore.
You stand before the goddess statues, Jula, Althena, and Vernus. These statues have all crumbled. Texts say the goddesses sacrificed themselves to defeat a dragon, which caused their likenesses to degrade as well. Althena, the one in the center, is the goddess of compassion, battle, and odyssey, making her popular with adventurers. If your party falls during your adventure, a prayer to Althena and a tithing of your money will resurrect the party. If you are repeatedly depending on her grace, the amount you must offer for her services will continually increase.
Yeah, these are small buffs that you can add to yourself. They're things like find more accessories, find more weapons, get one more life in the next stage. I think one is food and the other is score buff. So you can get a little bit more experience points, but
You accepted a new request
they're not
from the guild.
super important, but they're nice to have. So now I'm adding these NPCs to my party because I just found them. So they will join me in the next stage. Yeah.
Flanked by guards, you are led through the secure castle. Princess Vivian and Prime Minister Gustav awaited you. The Prime Minister speaks a lot, in contrast to the silent princess. He asks you to swear to keep this matter secret. The royal scepter has been stolen. A witness who saw the thief described him as Tommet, a known bandit. Your job is to track down Tommet and retrieve the scepter. Also, for the sake of the kingdom, this must be kept secret. Ranni whispers that he knows of this Tommet. He is well known and is based out of the old capital. You bow and leave the throne room. In order to retrieve the royal scepter, you chase the thief into the ruins of the old capital. These are the ruins of the ancient capital city. It was destroyed following an invasion from the Northern Empire. Now it is a dangerous place, full of dragons and wyverns.
My turn. Done.
You find the bandit Tomet in a hideout amid the ruins, just as Rani told you. It is said that whatever this man desires, by thievery he can acquire. Rani asks, "Are you Tomet, the bandit legend?" Beaming, he displays his spoils and tells the tale behind each item. When you ask about the scepter, he says, "That was indeed I," and goes on to boast exactly how he got into the castle. When you inquire further about the scepter, he deduces your true intentions and darts away. Pursue the thief, apprehend him, and reclaim the scepter. You cannot capture a target swimming underwater. Watch for your quarry to surface.
They're here.
Yes, simple. I got it. Done. Outstanding.
You can hear the sound of a woman crying on the other side. The wall here seems thin enough to break through.
They're here.
It's my. Oh yeah. Oh my. Let's see. Simple.
Should mention, eating food increases your HP and it also recovers it if it's any missing, but it also lets you go over the maximum temporarily.
You pin down Tommet, who is so stunned that he's actually been caught that he cannot move. Relenting, he produces the scepter from his bag and hands it to you. You have reclaimed the royal scepter. You must deliver the royal scepter to the Prime Minister at the castle. Once again, you are led to the throne room under guard. This time, a man stands there with a presumptuous grin. The man tells you to hand over the scepter. You tell him that you don't know what he's talking about. The man's mouth transforms into a twisted grin, and he signals his guards. They inch closer, swords at the ready. What will you do? As soon as you hand the scepter to the man, you and Ranni are immediately bound in chains and sent to the dungeon. A few months have passed. It seems your destiny is to spend the rest of your days rotting in this cell. You're not religious, but your only option now is prayer. You entreat the goddess Althena for one more chance. Once again, you are led to the throne room under guard. This time,
So sometimes
a
you get
man
these
stands there.
A or B scenarios, and in the story, there's usually only one, but in some of the stages you can choose different paths, and they'll take you to different things if you choose A or B.
The man tells you to hand over the scepter. You tell him that you don't. The man's mouth, what? You fall into a fighting stance. As soon as you steel yourself for battle, the Prime Minister and the Princess burst in. The Prime Minister orders the guards near you to stand down. The man twirls his cape and leaves, as if nothing happened. You sigh, relieved that you didn't have to shed blood in the castle to resolve the problem. The Prime Minister tells you that man was Count Dean, the younger brother of the king. He's trying to usurp the throne. The scepter indicates the throne's heir. The Prime Minister says Dean had Tommet steal it to deny the princess the throne. The Prime Minister takes the scepter and narrows his eyes in satisfaction. He pays you for completing the request. The fairy you saved in the ruins appears before you. She seems to want to take you somewhere. The fairy leads you into an old ivy-covered tower. You find yourself in a cluttered room that seems to be a laboratory. Judging by the stratification of dust, much time has passed since anyone last entered this room. Letters amidst the shambles indicate that a magician named Lucane lives here. You find a message he penned on the desk. Lucane wrote that he was off to see a magician friend named Wallace in the underground labyrinth. The fairy uses various interpretive gestures to indicate that she wants you to find him. You head to Wallace's underground labyrinth to look for the magician Lucane.
What would you like? Which one do you want? What would you like? Which one do you want?
Did not level up my skills first.
You have a request. You're back.
This underground labyrinth is said to have been made in a single night with powerful magic. It is a dangerous place, replete with traps. It bars entry to all who would dare. The trap was sprung, and the door magically closed fast. Slime creatures are weak against fire. The torch on the wall could be used to great effect. The clink of metal hitting the ground can be heard. You obtain a magic key to open the door.
So I didn't need to use the torch there because my character
Out of
has
the blue,
fire
a mouse
already,
darts
fire
out
magic.
and leaps onto your palm. The rodent claims to be the apprentice of Wallace the magician. He says he was tasked with caring for the laboratory while Wallace was gone, but it is beset by malevolent magic users. When you ask about Lucane, the apprentice answers that his master's friend went into the labyrinth and hasn't returned. Your quest to find Lucane is delayed as you attempt to liberate the lab for Ricky the Magician's apprentice. The door to the laboratory is through this hall.
Yes. Simple. It's my turn. Oh yeah. Oh, I can do that. Oh, yes. Simple. Filthy Luca. I got it. Done. Oh, I can do that. Let's see. Oh yeah.
Because the laboratory was being misused, some of the experiments housed within have now run amok. There's been a population explosion of mutated beings that spread their spores around. The labyrinth is overrun by fungi.
It's my turn. Simple. Yes. Done. simple.
Destroy the cocoons before they hatch, or they'll keep coming. Found some bones that seem to belong to Lucane in the depths of the labyrinth. The tattered raiments and jewelry leave no doubt that the corpse is indeed Lucane's. You bring back the bones of the magician Lucane. You found Lucane, but he was dead. You imagine the fairy will be overcome with grief, but you need to return to her. When you enter the laboratory, the fairy frantically flits around you, as if it senses your uneasiness. Upon seeing Lucane's bones, the fairy enters into a panic. She begins tugging at your arm to get you to leave the tower. The fairy is apparently attempting to lead you somewhere. You collect Lucane's bones and follow her. As you enter, a kindly voice echoes from the back. You seem to be in need of help, a monk says, and approaches you. You nervously hand the monk the bones of Lucane. Allow this heart to beat again. Quench their thirst. Lead the wandering soul back. Reverse death. And awaken them. The prayer reaches the goddess, and the pile of bones is once again given flesh. Lucane, shocked to find himself alive, thanks you profusely. He tells you to visit him at his laboratory and leaves. The resurrected magician has returned to the old tower in town. You decide to see him to ask more details. The magician Lucane is waiting for you in the laboratory of the old tower. It seems that dying had an adverse effect on his short-term memory. Lucane can't remember why he went to meet Wallace. Lucane is researching magic called runes, which are closely tied to spirits and fairies. Lucane introduces his fairy friend to you. Her name is Tiki. She left the fairy forest due to her strong curiosity. He thanks you again for saving him and allowing him to enjoy life's rich pageant. He displays his magic trinkets. Lucane says he'd be happy to sell you these items at a fraction of the normal price and answer any questions you have. What will you ask? Lucane says that he would be delighted to discuss this and launches headlong into a discussion about runes. Runes are magical letters that spirits and fairies carved into the world. You may have seen them yourself. Touching runes makes letters sparkle and float. Runes are a combination of 3 characters that create various effects. However, runes won't work unless a spirit or fairy is present. That's what you gather from Lucane's long lecture. Before you realize it, Tiki is following you around. She seems to have taken a liking to you. She will accompany you on your adventures henceforth. Fairies are known to be adept at finding hidden things. A letter from the castle has come to you via the guild. It simply says to report to the castle in all haste.
You're back. You have a request.
You assume that the letter was sent by the Prime Minister. Perhaps he has another request for you. Count Dean is waiting for you at the throne room. It is he who sent the letter. After your previous encounter, you can only assume that he's up to something nefarious. The guards have drawn their swords and are blocking the exit. Count Dean starts talking to you in a soft voice. He says that he has personally requested your assistance in performing a task for him. He wants you to scout Bilberon Fortress on the border. This underground fortress is a well-known structure. Originally built to defend against the Orc army, it now lies in Orc hands. Scout them and learn their invasion routes. It is a very dangerous mission, but refusal means that you will be at the mercy of Dean's guards. Per Count Dean's request, you agreed to infiltrate and surveil the subterranean fortress at the country's border. The Orc army presently controls Bilberon, the underground fortress built into the canyon. The King's army has been mounting a fierce offensive to try and reclaim the fortress.
It's my turn.
You step into the enemy kitchen. A corpulent chef grabs a goblin instead of meat and suddenly stops. The cook, sensing your presence, stares directly at you. Luckily, her sight's not so keen, so she doesn't notice you. Eventually, the chef returns to her meat cutting. You use the goblin's screams to mask your escape.
Here they come.
Simple. Oh, I can do that.
They're coming.
Oh, yes. Voila!
Enemies!
Let's see. Oh, yeah. I got it. Voila! got it. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Voila! Outstanding. Oh my.
I'll stop them. It's my turn. Done. Outstanding.
At the bottom of the stairs is an area connected to the sewers. This seems your most likely escape route.
Here they come.
After defeating the Minotaur, you move through the sewer's filth. The reconnaissance mission went well. You gathered intel and slipped back across enemy lines. Among the treasures you claimed You succeeded in acquiring intel on the underground fortress. This job will be completed once you report to Count Dean. You report everything you learned to Count Dean. Unfortunately, you also mention the hero's legendary sword. Naturally, he demands the great sword, but at least he's in a good mood now. He thought you'd just flee, but you didn't. It seems that he thinks much more highly of you now. Dean confides in you some of the problems in the castle. Once the king went missing, the Prime Minister began recommending the Archduke MacNeil of Bulgar to the throne. Bulgar is an aggressive nation to the north. MacNeil is related to the King of Hydeland and has a legal claim to the throne. Count Dean claims that MacNeil has been rallying nobles in Hydeland to support his claim to the throne. That's why Dean hired Tommet to steal the scepter. He says that Tommet is extremely trustworthy, so long as he is paid. Suddenly, the Prime Minister and the Princess appear. It seems you are being watched. The Count glowers and departs. The Prime Minister warns you not to involve yourself any further. The Princess, as usual, looks back with blank eyes. Since you completed the job at the castle, you return to the Adventurers Guild to tell them what transpired. Roland also happens to be here to report on a job. However, Samuel is not here. Roland is waiting for him to return. Roland thinks that he just missed him and asks you to track down the Guildmaster and bring him back. You look for Samuel, the Guildmaster. He should be somewhere in town.
Wandering one.
A giant man in armor finishes his prayers and turns around. His pensive expression quickly turns fierce as he sees you. He tells you that he was praying because he has sent many friends to look for the king, but they haven't found the slightest clue. When you ask to help, Samuel just nods and hands you a request form. It's the same request the temple gave you. In a remote region, marriageable girls are disappearing, one by one. The catacombs are believed to be linked somehow. As you leave the temple, a ragged old man slumped in the road calls out to you in a gravelly voice. His raspy voice makes it difficult for you to discern if he's even speaking your language. You can give him a coin if you feel pity for him. Of course, you're free to walk away as well. He doesn't even acknowledge the coin. You probably won't be able to communicate with him, no matter how long you strain your concentration. To solve the mystery of the disappearances, you head to the catacombs, where the villagers fear to tread.
Alright. That is about all for now. Thank you for watching. Later.